I am Anthony from Hasslersnet, and you're watching 10 Questions. Today I'm here with CrimsonRaptors. I will ask 10 questions about his experience as a YouTuber, as well as what led him onto that path. Hi, Crimson.
Hi, Anthony. I'm CrimsonRaptors.
That's why I said hi, Crimson.
Did I screw this up already?
Continuing on, I have 10 questions to ask you that I more or less ask everyone, but adjusted specifically for you. If at this time your responses leave an opening, I may ask a follow-up question. Are you ready to begin?
Let's do it to it.
Sure. So the first question is, what entertained you while you were growing up?
So I would say a lot of the stuff that I watched was, obviously dinosaur related, and so that would lead more to like Godzilla, stuff like that. But it also led to what fights Godzilla, which would be like a Mechagodzilla, some kind of robot.
We're talking kaiju.
Kind of foe. No, yeah, kaiju. But so no, so that would lead to robots and Mechagodzilla, things like that, and that would lead to stuff like Terminator, which that would lead to things like Robotech, and that would lead things to, back to Aliens, and then that would lead things to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and then you'd have Robotech. That actually, crap. I screwed all this up. Can we redo that?
No. How is this funny if I just edit around your? Where did Transformers come in, man?
I know. So, actually, Robotech wasn't something that was in my childhood. I was aware of, not Robotech, but it was Gundam. Was more of kind of what I knew more about. But then, Transformers was kind of around there always. So, whether it started with Generation 1, but mostly I got to really see Transformers with Generation 2 and the Cybernet and the stories of the Transformers in the Cybernet Space Cube. So I got to be around the time of like the purple camouflage and the neon lighting and pink light piping and all that stuff.
Oh, the ugly colors.
Those were kind of things that entertained me. Yeah, absolutely.
Just horrendous.
Micro Machines were a big deal. There were a group of toys that was called Z-Bots that didn't have anything affiliated with it, but that what I thought was there was a show called what was it, ZZ Bots or something like that. And I thought it was related to. No, well, actually, I think it was Bots Master. I think was what it was called.
That is a thing.
I got it completely confused.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I totally got that confused with that. But I had the Z-Bots as a kid too. But Transformers was always there. And then I remember when Beast Wars came around. And I was like, what is this? Because I didn't get to see the first episode, didn't know it was in the future of the Generation 1 universe, didn't know any of the time travel stuff, none of that stuff.
Well, technically, Beast Wars is in the future and the past.
Right. So it was just kind of like, I remember kind of like seeing Beast Wars for that first time and being kind of shocked, like not really happy about it. And then when they went to Transmetals, kind of had some semi-vehicle modes. It started getting more interesting. And then I was able to kind of like really like love that type of show.
I feel like you're a truck, not monkey guy.
Well, I would be originally, but now I was just like, why can't the monkey drive the truck, right?
Well, I mean, because eventually the monkey becomes kind of a truck.
Yeah, with this Optimal Optimus.
Right.
So a lot of that stuff kind of kept me entertained. Jurassic Park was obviously a huge influence. I mean, there's just a whole menagerie of different things that I have liked over decades of entertainment. Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad, that's another one. It's based on a Japanese show called Gridman. But that was something where like I would see Power Rangers, right? And I was kind of like, Power Rangers is okay. But it wasn't quite hitting the marks that I liked. I'm not big into Super Sentai myself, like Kamen Rider or VR Troopers, things like those. I couldn't quite get into. Beetleborgs I could get into. But with Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad, it was kind of like a blend between Saved by the Bell, like that teenager show, and Power Rangers. And so Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad, or the Gridman, like that was really more my kind of style. Of course, the 90s Spider-Man, the 90s X-Men, those are big, huge influence.
Yeah, I just found out that the Beetleborg costumes were being reused in the new Power Rangers series. So I was like, "What? They're not Beetleborgs. They're new bad guys, but they're using the same costumes, the black and white Beetleborg." I'm like, "Ooh, okay." I mean, if
I
you
had
got to
gone
reuse
to
them,
a vintage shop here, recently, and I was completely unaware that they had made a Beetleborgs like main base playset, and it came with all three of the Beetleborgs. And I was like, I wanted to buy it so bad because I never knew this existed. But they had the Z-Bots Vortex HQ like right next to it, and I was like, I'm gonna have to get the Z-Bots because I still have all of my original Z-Bots as a kid. They're like the one thing that has never been sold off. They're kind of worthless, to everybody, but except for those that know what they are. But it's never been sold off, never been traded. Those have always the ones that I've always had. I've always had. So I definitely had to get the H. But the Beetleborgs thing looked cool though.
yeah, I actually have the white and black Beetleborg. Those are like the only ones I got. I think the white one was called the Rhino something, maybe because it has like a spike out of the forehead, and then the
Yeah,
black one
yeah.
has those
They
antenna.
they released them individually here, but I was unaware there was ever a playset made. And this wasn't a Japanese version of the playset. It was a full on from the show.
Okay.
But like the Superman Samurai, like I loved all of those toys. I got every version of them, like what we would call like high grades or gashapon, which are capsule toys, Japanese for capsule toys.
Yeah, gotcha punch.
Like
Yeah.
I got those with the Superman Samurai. And I would read all those technical specifications. Exo Squad, I liked Exo Squad growing up too. Really, that Exo Squad was a kids show that was, and it actually would work today. But then the second season they went kind of weird to different things because it was getting too serious with war and the kind of what they set up in that universe and stuff. They didn't really kind of expect it to continue on for a second season, but it seemed like their second season, the Exo Squad, was ready for a third season, but that never.
Okay. So we're gonna move on to the next question. What made you decide to start a YouTube channel?
Well, I started a YouTube channel in 2006, actually, and I did it because I could not make a comment on videos without having a YouTube account. And it wasn't a part of Google or nothing like that at the time. It was all its own little entity. And I wish I could find those videos or the video that I originally commented on because I would like to know what it was. I don't even remember what it was. I'm sure it wasn't anything Transformers though, because I wasn't aware of Transformer reviewers or even dinosaur reviewers, anything like that. Like I wasn't aware of any dino tubers, nothing until way, way later. So, but that was the reason why I started that. Was so I could actually comment on YouTube video.
So that was the original channel, or the channel you have now that you started in 2006?
No, it's the channel I have now is from 2006.
Wow, it actually
Yeah, I've
beats
only
mine
had
by
one
a
channel.
year. Okay. So what was your initial YouTube channel offerings then? What were you doing originally?
So, like I love, and it kind of stayed like that for a very long time. And over time, I started getting into learning about stop motion animation. And that is I used to watch like Mysterious Island, The Valley of Guanji, King Kong, the original King Kong, like a lot of those, Ray Harryhausen, Willis O'Brien, and all those kind of stop motion animation movies and everything. And so it started to kind of make like a big impact for me because, as a kid, like I said, I had Micro Machines and stuff, and I loved Godzilla. So I had a big deal with, having Godzilla, destroy like the military Micro Machines and the city and everything like that. And I had plans for a Godzilla movie. And, because I've watched all of them, I have all of them now. And it's just like, it would be really to kind of put something like that out there. So as I'm kind of researching stuff, well, I also like Transformers, I like dinosaurs, Gundam, robots, things like that. And so I had also kind of around that time, I say about 2011-ish to 2012, I'd gotten back into Gundam and started realizing that, hey, like these mobile suits, these model kits, can actually are really articulated, and they would be perfect for stop motion. And so in August 30 or October, I'm sorry, not August, October 31st, 2015, I uploaded my first animation which was two mobile suits that were fighting each other in kind of a combat situation. And it's just like I put it up there. I didn't think it would make like a big deal, but it was meant as part of a stop motion contest by Joshua Gandamu, who also makes a Mobile Suit Gundam animation series. It was really awesome. It's called Gundam Father of Peace. If you haven't seen it, Joshua Gandamu is a really great guy, and it would be cool to show him some support that way as well. But that's the reason why I uploaded it. Was for his contest, and I got third place in his contest. There was a lot of competition, and mine was actually a proving ground for practical special effects. So there's nothing that I used in Adobe Photoshop, nothing I used in After Effects or anything like that. It was just straight up, just what can you do with a laser pointer, some cotton, like how, what can you do to make those kind of things practical? And I think it was really successful. It was my highest viewed video for a long time. And that was my initial offering, was that.
Okay. So then what trends have you seen change with online content creation since starting your channel?
So I've been around, like I said, since 2006. And, I think there's very few, even in the Transformer reviewer YouTuber community, I think there's only like one or two that were, had their accounts made before mine, which would have been like, I think that they beat me maybe by like a month or two. And I've seen a lot of change. Not just with just YouTube, but also with like review styles, cameras. I mean, nowadays, you have to imagine the quality back then. Like 480p was a big deal to upload a video back then, and it wasn't just because of like bandwidth cost or nothing like that, but that was considered like almost HD. And the move to 720 was a big deal. That took out a lot of people because people didn't have cameras that were, mobile phones weren't as great as they are now with their cameras. And it took a lot of people out of the market. A lot of channels I used to watch all the time. And, then came the DSLR cameras, like the Canons and stuff that would, the $700, $500 to $700 cameras. And that again took more people out of the market. So you had 1080p come into the realm. You had several, of course, Google ended up buying YouTube and started putting their ads and everything on it. And they offered really good pricing. The problem with it is that what people didn't realize is that, they were kind of, and there's a lot of people that were on there, a lot of content creators. And so when you started putting ads on your content, then what happened is that you're getting the platform, right? You're getting the server. They're spreading it out to, available for everybody that's on the platform. And so there's a lot of benefits to that. But I think at that time it was something like a 60-40 split or something, where 60 of it was to Google or to YouTube and 40 of it was to the content creator, which you think it would be the other way around. But, yes, they're creating everything for you. They're hosting all of it for you, but they're not making the content. Right? That's the content creator. So usually an agent would get you a way better deal than a 40-60 split. But that said, so everybody would get their ads and everything. There's a lot of reviewers. There's the Marvel Universe reviewers. That stuff was coming up in the 3 3/4 inch. There were people that were starting to do Transformer reviews at the time. And some of them are still around today. Most of them are not. And it just kind of has to do with like, okay, are you reviewing something that people need help with, like transformations? Are you doing something that is something that a lot of people want to see? And there were people that were doing G1 Transformers, G2, like they were going through like their whole collection, which is cool. But was it really what people were wanting at that time, or were they just wanting just the newer stuff? And that's what kind of squeezed out a lot of YouTube channels along the way. That it was just like they couldn't get their traction that they needed, especially if they didn't have the newer product. But as that grew, as the consumer base of the entertainment and content grew, then on top of that was overhead. And so Google was trying to figure out, like, okay, well, we need to cut out some of these people in the adpocalypse. Like, we need to cut out some of these people that are putting up content, and they're saying things in there that the people that want the ads on there don't want, like Sprite or Pepsi or whatever it was, whoever's going to be your ad revenue guy. And they're just like, oh, we don't agree with that kind of content or whatever. And so you had the adpocalypse, right? And that took out a lot of other people, because now you had people that were out because they were just in it for. And then you had the second adpocalypse, and then you had COPPA and the Child Online Protection Privacy Act, which was a disaster because there was so much misinformation out there, and people were using COPPA as a way to, okay, so they know that they're not going to be affected, but they're like, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell people that they should all be afraid, and they're going to get fined by either a government that's not in their country, or they're going to get fined for information that they don't even have. And in this case, it would be, the information like, under the age of 13, which nobody got that information from anything on YouTube unless somebody was putting that information out in a YouTube comment or anything like that. Then you would just delete it. So that kind of had people where they were sending out misinformation and trying to push their competition, in quotes, out the door and off to other platforms like Dailymotion and Vimeo and their own website or something where they could be on their own away from wherever they wanted. And a lot of us, like in kind of the little Transformer YouTuber group we had, and big shout out to Larkin's Lair. Him and I, we both read the law, and it took maybe about like an hour and a half, maybe at the most, to actually read it. And Larkin had a really good argument, is that you have all these people, all these content creators that have put hours and hours and hours into their channel, and they can't take a couple hours time to read a U.S. government law. And it just kind of was mind-boggling. So really, none of it applied to any of us, because it was just there was so much panic, and I had seen so many good stop-motion animators just give up, and they didn't even, after the right information was out or given to them, they didn't want to come back. They were just like, it was too stressful. It's just having to deal with YouTube year after year and so a lot of them kind of left, and in some cases, actually, they would delete their content completely. So now you couldn't even find their content, and that's sad. Like that was probably the worst. I think, other than the adpocalypses, I think that COPPA was probably the worst with the misinformation. And so then our 15 grew to 20, 25, and 30, and 35, and more. Started creating, kind of getting that information out, that is positive information instead of the misinformation. And it's been for the benefit, because for me, one is it's brought me closer to people that either were brand new to YouTube or I had never known about before, and have made really great friends. And I think in most cases, if not all, a lifelong. It's not just with YouTube. We're other than just YouTube itself.
The Transformers, more than meets the eye.
Okay, so what do you think brings people to your channel now?
I'll say I have no idea. No, probably I would say what brings them to is if not just the stop motion animation, Every once in a while I'll do kind of like a live stream. I would do some unboxings. I would do some reviews on like the recent Transformer shows. I think, I'm very much a positive oriented person, and I I want kind of like everybody to participate or to that's not spouting negativity, but like people that kind of participate and come together, and we all get to enjoy the same hobby together. We all get to Transformers, or dinosaurs, or Gundam, or anything like that. That's fun. It's it's a it's something where kind of I've reached out and I comment. I'm very much kind of a stand together and lift up kind of person. I think that definitely comes across, and whether people are listening to me, on a podcast like Tales from Teletran, Buddy Input, check out his channel too. And it's just kind of like being in people's comments and kind of bringing them positivity and checking out their work and everything. That's what I think is what brings people to the YouTube channel that I have, is they notice, hey, if this guy is lifting up my channel, let me go check out his as well.
Okay, so what changes do you have planned for your YouTube channel in the near future?
So I actually have a lot of different things that are coming in the future. For one, I have quite a roster of reviews that are already planned. I just haven't made them public. I've actually been trying to create a unified intro, one that I'm happy with. I've used kind of makeshift intros here and there. The problem is that it requires a better computer than what I have now, or outsourcing it to other people. But in that case, on there, like I have a Transformers stop motion animation series. I'm dropping a teaser for here soon, and then a trailer for soon after that. That the trailer should be out 100% by June 5th is what I'm looking for, and then and hopefully by then it has been done. But also I have a Mobile Suit Gundam stop motion animation series that I have planned. It's a limited series, so it's not a lot of episodes. And then also have a more Godzilla stuff that I have down the pipe. Just depends on how this year plans out. Or pans out, really, because I've been trying to get a new computer, and there's so many toy releases and everything, so I've kind of been shifting my funds to get those, because in most cases, if they're not an exclusive, or if they're just something you have to special order, or it's a limited amount, then I tend to go for those rather than actually buying all the computers.
So what changes would you like to make if you had unlimited resources? But it sounds like you would want a new computer.
Oh, definitely would get a brand new computer. But with unlimited resources, I'd love to bring on like a rather significant production team, whether it be like from like 8 to 10 people or something, with various skills, whether they work in special effects, whether they work in sound design. It'd be a myriad of things I would like to bring together, have people a specific special. It would be cool to kind of have that set up on there. The problem with is that, like, say in the instance of stop motion animation or review, I would be the only person doing that. Like all the set dressing and everything else would be nice to kind of have. The editing would be nice to have and kind of collaborate, where I'm just kind of just making that content out, with the exception of editing like the stop motion, like the frames and everything. I would love to still continue to do that myself, but then have other people add the special effects, anything sound as well, if need be.
Okay, so before we get to the last two questions, we're going to go into something of a quiz. Now, because you love dinosaurs and love Transformers, I've come up with a 10, kind of like Who's That Pokemon, but for Transformer dinosaurs quiz. And I'm going to throw the picture onto the screen here, and you have to tell me what dinosaur this is and if you can guess who it actually is. So it should be easy for most of these. You ready?
Let's do it to it again.
Okay, who's that pokey Transformer? So, Transformer's name and what species it is. Can you guess what this one is?
So that is Beast Wars Dinobot, the Kingdom version. And that actually, although he is known as a Velociraptor, technically, since that's more based on the Velociraptor from Jurassic Park, which that was based on in the novel, and for it was in Michael Crichton's novel was based on Deinonychus or Deinonychus, however you would like to. But honestly, Dinobot is a Utahraptor.
A Utah Raptor?
That is correct.
Okay.
But Velociraptor would work too, because in the context of it, he's based on Jurassic Park's Velociraptor from the movies, which is a Utah Raptor. And that is Studio Series 1986 Grimlock, who is a Tyrannosaurus Rex, erroneously having 3 fingers in his cartoon version and on the toy, because the Tyrannosaurus Rex had 2 fingers.
Okay. I actually saw in GameStop the those $50 non-transforming models. They just don't move. He actually has. So this figure has 3 forward fingers, just proper fingers. That toy actually has 2 fingers and a thumb.
Weird.
Yeah.
The original G1 toy of Grimlock has 2 fingers, but in the cartoon, for some reason, they thought he was 3 because Allosaurus has 3, and so that was a pretty famous carnivore as well. They just kind of associate with, like, why would a Tyrannosaurus Rex have 2?
Yeah, and then obviously that appendage on his back is not part of him.
I don't know what that is. Is that his gun? Looks like his gun. Grimlock is packing.
Okay, how about this guy?
That is Beast Wars Megatron. Yeah. And he is definitely a Tyrannosaurus Rex. That is much more scientifically accurate, with his 2 fingers on each little hand.
Now this one's kind of a trick question, so there is a difference. But can you figure out which one this is?
Yes, so this one actually is Paleotrex, the fossilizer from Kingdom of the War for Cybertron trilogy, but this is actually a Tyrannosaurus Rex. I know a lot of people have been saying that they are a raptor for some reason, but it doesn't have that toe claw, and it has 2 fingers on each of its hands instead of the 3 that a Velociraptor or Utahraptor would have. So this is a skeleton of a Tyrannosaurus Rex, and a very well done skeleton, by the way.
Okay, so this might be a trick. I don't know if you can tell the difference between this one and the other one. I mean, you should be able to, right? So which one is this?
So this is the fossilizer from the Kingdom series of the War for Cybertron of Arachnite, and that is a Styracosaurus. That is a 1-horned ceratopsian.
He has pretty blue eyes.
Oh, absolutely.
For a dead guy. So I kind of threw this because I thought it was hilarious, but which one is this one?
So this is actually no, this is definitely not G1, but this will be the Earthright, this version of Skylynx, so the sky part. And he actually is not a dinosaur. He is listed as a dino bird, is usually what he's referred to as, but he's a completely fictitious animal. Some people may say, okay, well, dino bird is an Archaeopteryx, and that's not an Archaeopteryx. He's just not really anything. He's just a space shuttle with a bird-like head. I mean, I don't know. Weird. Chicken legs.
Okay, on to the next one. Who's that Pokemon? Transformer. Yeah.
That is also. Actually, no, that's not Paleotrex, is it?
There's a slight difference.
The transmutate one, right?
Let's find out. The fin on the top is the giveaway.
Yep. So Tyrannosaurus Rex for that one too. Although because of the way that is angled above the head, although the arms would be wrong and the head style would be wrong, it almost looks like a Cryolophosaurus, which does have like a little clamshell type or clamshell, like a little seashell kind of thing on top of its head. Like.
Okay, here's the next one.
And now that is the Hasbro Pulse exclusive that everybody is upset about. That comes with a ton of blast effects. The Triceratops, I believe is how you say the name. But that is 100% a Triceratops there with the 3 horn.
And he
For
tastes
sure.
great too. He just tastes like gummy worms.
Oh, absolutely. Like you down and no, kids, don't do that.
Okay, so on to the next one.
Now what's cool about this one is this is a vertebrake from the Kingdom line of the War for Cybertron trilogy series. And people were also calling this a raptor because every dinosaur is going to be a raptor, right?
It's
But
not.
this is a plant eater named Dracorex. That is the species that it is. Meaning kind of that first part of a dragon and then a rex, right?
Right.
And they are actually like a bonehead dinosaur, so they'll smash you up.
So then here's our last one.
Oh, so this is also a trick question. Yes, so this is definitely not a dinosaur. Let me make that very clear to everybody out there, and in an educational sense, that pteranodons, which is what this is, and actually a female version of a pteranodon because the crest is much shorter and the males will have a much longer crest behind them. But with Wingfinger, so this is probably going to be another female fossilizer like how Vertebrake was. But this actually is a flying reptile, and it is part of the pterosaur family. So not a dinosaur, not a pterodactyl, because pterodactyls don't exist out there. And you'll notice that this pteranodon is done very, very well because it has a toothless beak, because pteranodons are toothless. And very much praise Hasbro for researching that. Although I have emailed them and they have not corrected it, but on Hasbro Pulse they call it a pterodactyl, and I cannot seem to get anybody to correct that to pteranodon. But just saying, their mold was done correctly.
But the name is wrong, or the species, I should say.
Yeah, well, pterodactyl doesn't exist. Does. And pterosaur does, but pterodactyl is not a real animal.
Okay. So you figured everybody out. So if anybody wanted to argue dinosaurs, you will beat them. So... Okay, so moving back onto the questions, do you wish to mention anything else about your YouTube channel?
You are definitely in for the ride if you subscribe or feel like you want to catch up with the notification bell or anything for my channel. I definitely have a lot of stuff that are coming down the pipe for 2021. This is going to be possibly the year of the Raptor. With a little over half the year left.
Last year, you're the Luigi. This year, you're the Raptor.
That's right.
Okay, so do you have content on other outlets, and how can people find out more about you? I actually have your Instagram, which is instagram.com/CrimsonRaptors. Your Twitter, which is twitter.com/CrimsonRaptors. Your YouTube, which is youtube.com/CrimsonRaptors.
Yeah, those are the 3 places you can find me, are Twitter and YouTube and Instagram. So Twitter is kind of one of my oldest of the social media because I wasn't really quite aware of Instagram at the time when I kind of started putting content on YouTube. Then I kind of learned about Instagram and really liked it, and then Facebook bought it, and it's okay. But Instagram is a really great place where I put a lot of photos up, and it's just a nice little polished kind of area. I wish the tags would work, but because of 2020, the tags still don't work like they should. And I mean by tags, I mean the hashtags. But there's a great community that's out there on Instagram as well, kind of cross-pollinating or cross-promoting, cross-platforming from Instagram to YouTube. I mean, there's the ability now to create live videos on Instagram, which I haven't done myself, but I've joined in with others.
It feels
And
TikTok-y to
Twitter,
me.
it's kind of TikTok-y, yeah. Kind of like those YouTube shorts. Those are very TikTok-y. You will not
There's a
find
Quibi
TikTok
stuff going
ever.
on there.
Exactly. I mean, the Instagram reels are nice. I just wish that we could get away from vertical screens and go to the horizontal, because vertical video syndrome is a serious condition. We need to cure people of it. VVS needs to be cured. Just saying. That's my PSA for this week. But on Twitter, I used to post kind of like my toy hauls and things like that, and I kind of moved away from that. Started doing it on Instagram, and it got much more traction on Instagram. But that said, for some reason, and I don't know what's changed on Twitter. Well, it's kind of a cesspool right now. But on Twitter, whenever I post something there, because it's not really like anything that would make people mad, it seems to get a lot of attention. And so it's kind of strange. Like if I post videos on Twitter, like people are like, "Oh, something that's not a cesspool-ridden, dialogue of whatever agenda anybody's trying to spew." It's like, "Oh, something totally different," and then everybody kind of gravitates to it. And I like that about Twitter. That's about the only thing. But there's also other cool people that are out there as well too. But again, they're usually people that I know from YouTube, rather than just exclusively on. That's where you can find me at those three:
Okay.
Instagram and YouTube.
Okay, so thanks everybody for watching. If you have any comments or questions, please post them. And of course, the links are available in the description to find Crimson Raptors Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. And thanks, Crimson, for doing this.
Oh, absolutely.
And
I really appreciate it. I love being on.
Thank you. And then for everybody else, we'll talk to you later. Goodbye.
Adios.